Phillip Island. In my opinion, it is the best circuit that we have on the MotoGP calendar. If you're like me, who has grew up in the UK, or in Europe in fact, you will know that waking up for this Grand Prix, or indeed just staying up for this Grand Prix, most of the time is worth it, as we get arguably the best races in the history of MotoGP around this circuit. And today's video is just explaining why I think Phillip Island is the best circuit on the MotoGP calendar. When you look through history of the races that we've had at Phillip Island, you immediately can just even go back to last year. 2022 was an unbelievable battle. Several bikes that really didn't have a chance around any other circuit that we've seen last year, especially in MotoGP. Alex Rins won on the Suzuki, Marc Marquez finished second on the Honda. Just for that, we get a balance that doesn't really happen around any other circuit. Why is that? So in modern MotoGP, we've touched on it before, these bikes have so much technology on them in terms of aerodynamics, ride height devices. It is just a different era that we're used to compared to say 20 years ago. Not even 20, even 10 years ago. So much aero, so much electronic devices on the bikes that hinder the races around other circuits. But Phillip Island is unique. There isn't really any opportunities apart from the Gardner Straight into turn 1. That is the only place you can really use ride height devices. For the rest of the circuit, it is virtually impossible as the corners are so fast. There's just no real time to use these devices. And that is why we see often and we hear often that Phillip Island is the ultimate rider's track. And when I think of ultimate riders, you think of the best. Valentino Rossi, Casey Stoner, Marc Marquez, Mick Doohan. They all had great success around Phillip Island. And it shows you they're able to get the best out of their talents to almost make up for the fact that they might not have been on the best machinery. Casey Stoner, for example, from 2007 to 2011, he won every single MotoGP race around Phillip Island. Unbelievable. And that also leads me to think about Casey Stoner as well. Turn 3 at Phillip Island. The famous Stoner corner. It is unbelievable for slow motion shots. I'll just put a gif of Casey Stoner sliding the rear through here. Unreal. I just love this corner so much. It's so fast. It's a left-hander where the riders go into a really fast braking zone at the newly named Miller corner at turn 4, formerly known as Honda corner. The braking and the opportunity for overtaking is something we always see, and it can go very wrong, as Jack Miller knew last year as Alex Marquez took him out on the brakes. The anticipation as they come through doing corner into turn 1. Then we go through the southern loop where there's so many lines you can take through there. A specialist through there is Marc Marquez. If we think back to 2015 and the race that he won in 2017, he was extraordinary through that zone. And if he can get the Honda in a working window this weekend, who knows, he could be fighting for victory as well. They come round the exit of the southern loop into Stoner corner and then hard braking again from Miller corner at turn 4. Then we go into the famous Siberia corner at turn 6. A fantastic corner for overtaking. It's very hard to get an overtake done, but if you can get it done, it sets you up right for 7-8, and then the long left-hander into Lukey Heights at the top. Now, more famously, breaking down into MG corner at turn 10, we seen Andrea Iannone hit a seagull. We think of Maverick Vinales versus Marc Marquez in 2019. There is so many deciding factors as they head into turn 10. But on the exit of turn 10, we've seen iconic overtakes from Valentino Rossi in 2006, Andrea Iannone versus Valentino Rossi, and Marc Marquez getting past them both on the exit of turn 10. And in the long swoop into turn 12, there is no time for rest. Around Phillip Island, there is no hard braking zones. And that is why I think it is always so close, because everyone can make up for things that their bike doesn't have, and it shows off the skill of the rider. Another big factor for me is the weather, of course. Phillip Island is essentially beside the sea, and we get a lot of changeable conditions. It's always very windy. The time of year that MotoGP go to, it often rains. And for this weekend, indeed, it is predicted to be wet for race day. And I think we will see something very similar to what we've seen in 2016 when Cal Crutchlow won. It was a very mixed up grid, so the main title contenders are going to have to potentially push when they don't really want to, and it could lead to some epic changes in the world title. Another big factor and why it should be great this year is the fact, of course, we have sprint races. Now, sprint races are a fairly mixed reception from fans this year. Some people love it, some people don't really like them, but I think a sprint race around Phillip Island, if you've watched World Superbike in the past, the sprint races are unbelievable. They are so packed full of action, and with MotoGP, I think it will just be even better for the spectacle we're seeing. We're getting 2 races at Phillip Island on a MotoGP weekend. This should be absolutely epic. And I think really the DNA of this circuit is just what makes Grand Prix racing fantastic. The Moto 3 race will be great, the Moto 2 race will be great, and we will hopefully see some more history around this iconic venue. Let me know what you think, guys, of Phillip Island. Is it your favourite race of the year? Also, let us know your time zone for when you have to watch a MotoGP race. As I say, I'm in the UK, so I'll be getting up, not even getting up, probably staying up for most of the action and then getting to bed after it finishes. Yeah, I love this time of year. I love this race. It's just epic. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, drop us a follow on social media, and we will see you next time.